quick editorial note. During today's interview, I mistakenly mentioned that Deputy Reeve Christman was elected at November's RMA convention as Division 4 Director. Now, this was not the case. She was elected as Division 1 Director, taking over from Vulcan County Reeve Jason Schneider, not Division 4 Director, Wheatland County former Reeve Amber Link. We apologize for the mistake and we hope to do better next time. Welcome to Cross Border Interviews. Our goal is to create meaningful municipal conversations that inform, that connect, that educate, and that strengthen communities from coast to coast to coast here in Canada. Now, for this edition of Cross Border Interviews, we are honored to welcome to the show County of Newell Deputy Reeve Kelly Christman. Now, the County of Newell is a rural municipality located central to Calgary, Medicine Hat, and Lethbridge, with less than 190 kilometers of separations between each of those three cities. The county is a growing transportation hub, with the TransCanada Highway and Highway 36 intersecting within the county boundaries. The county has a dynamic and diverse economy driven by three major pillars: agriculture, oil and gas, and tourism. So stick with us as our interview starts right after this quick message. In the heart of every thriving community lies a well-crafted strategic plan. But crafting such a plan requires expertise, experience, and a deep understanding of local needs. Enter Strategic Steps, your partner in municipal strategic planning. Strategic Steps' team of experts have years of experience in municipal administration. At Strategic Steps, they just don't develop plans. They co-create homegrown strategies tailored to your unique community. They listen, they collaborate, they empower your community to thrive. Contact Strategic Steps today and take the first step towards a brighter future for your municipality. Call Strategic Steps at 780-416-9255 or visit strategicsteps.ca to get started. Deputy Reeve, thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking about yourself and talking about the great community of the County of Newell. Before we talk about the county, let's get to know the woman behind the persona of Deputy Reeve, if you don't mind. And I've got to start with a very simplistic question, but it's an overarching one. Where does your sense of duty to serve your community come from, Kelly?
Honestly, Chris, I think the answer to that question is in the foundation. My parents were volunteers all the time I was growing up. I can remember one 20 below night, my dad was called out to a restaurant fire. The only way to get to the fire after the snowstorm was by his snowmobile. That was back in the 70s. So my mom was active in the community as well. My work that I did before I became a counselor was family and community support services for the town of Bassano. And so volunteerism is a part of that program and promoting volunteerism. So I went from a paid position there to a paid position, albeit as a county counselor. But county counselor also allows me more time to volunteer. So I am presently chair of the Newell Adult Education Center in Bassano. I'm a board member of the Ag Society, the Historical Society, and the Health Foundation. So I tend to keep busy. And I see it happening with my children as well. One is a hockey coach, another one actively in rodeo and supporting her husband in his volunteerism. So it's what you learn, I believe.
Where did the education of becoming a municipal politician come from? Because it sounds like volunteerism was key to your upbringing and key to your upbringing of your children. How does volunteerism go? You know what? I'm going to volunteer my time and be a municipal councillor. Was mom and dad politician, or are you the dark sheep of the family?
Um, Honestly, my dad did try to be a politician. He did run for town council one year and was not successful. But no, my work career, 33 years with the town of Bassano as an employee. I worked for a lot of counselors over the years. I admired their dedication to community. And so I would have to say that they were my mentors. After 33 years, I felt it was time for a new challenge. And so I did step in, threw my name into the ring, and I was successful 13 years ago.
So let's go back 13 years ago then for a
Mm.
second, if you don't mind, because I always find it fascinating about why that year. What was going on in that election that you said? Was it just luck of the draw? Was it just the timing? Or was there an issue that was so prominent for you that you said, my voice, Kelly's voice, would be perfect around the council table? Take me through that decision of making that ultimate decision to put your name on the ballot, because that can be scary for some.
Right. Yeah. No, in all honesty, at that time, there was no issue. Um, it was more a personal thing for me. I was looking for a personal challenge. I had done that, completed that job for 33 years, and after a while, it can become a bit of a push button. So this was a challenge, and I honestly thought that I could do both. And within 6 weeks of being at the county council, I realized no, you need to choose one or the other. And so that's when I resigned. I retired from the town of Bassano as I was part time administration and part time FCSS at that time.
Looking back on the last 13 years, you said you were looking for a new challenge. Are you happy with how the challenge has unfolded over those 13 years?
You know, those challenges keep coming at the county. You know, there's different ways to stretch almost every month. So, yes, those challenges are still coming and I appreciate them. Some I'm successful with, and others not so successful. Um, my latest stretch, and I'm still learning lots about it, is I just joined the Rural Municipalities of Alberta Association Board. So that is District 1 Director. And so I'm 2 months into that, Chris, and looking forward to that challenge this year.
You take over some big shoes, former Wheatland Reeve Amber Link. I've been watching your career for some time. I'm so happy that we're able to have this conversation, and we're going to be talking about some of those challenges in a few minutes here. But I want to stick on you for a few minutes and talk about the role of Deputy Reeve and the role of counselor. Now, after 13 years in office, I can imagine you have come to the conclusion that some of the issues that you deal with on a day-to-day basis around that council table are very challenging. Some of those issues probably keep you up at night. When you walk into that council table chamber, how much weight do you keep on yourself to ensure that you're educated on the issues, prepared to potentially change your viewpoint, because you have to be open to all sides, even when you're making the decision? And how much weight do you put on yourself to come in with an open mind to ensure that the best decision is getting made at that council table?
That's a really good question. And it's a challenge every year or every meeting, I think. And it's something to be mindful prior to every meeting. In preparation, we read. I'll speak for myself. I read the documents. I research more information. I talk to people. I go to coffee at the local coffee shop. I spin things off them. They don't know. where that information is going. Sometimes you get tidbits of information that help, but always going into the council meeting with an open mind, because staff or public coming into the meeting will present new information and you need to be open to hear it.
Do you find yourself being able to be swayed by other opinions and other viewpoints when you're around that council table? Because the one thing that I find in doing this show for almost 9 years now and almost 5 years talking exclusively to municipal leaders is people try to keep an open mind, but we're always, and this is just me being me right now, we all have that moral belief, that moral code that we believe in what is right and what is wrong. But as a counselor, you kind of have to push that aside a little bit and say, okay, while this is right and wrong, I also have to hear what John or Jacob or Sarah have to say about it, because they may be coming from it from a different perspective.
Absolutely. That is so true. And being able to communicate that other perspective, that is the trick. And sometimes that takes extra energy to pull out of people and to actually hear and feel.
It sounds like, and I'm so happy that you mentioned this in your statement 2 questions ago, but it sounds like the people of your district, the people of County of Newell, are pretty up on what's going on in the county and have their opinions and are willing to voice their opinions. When you have a tough decision that you have to make at that council table, because ultimately at the end of the day, you're the one who has to raise your hand and vote yay or nay. Do you get the sense that people are willing to give their honest, unfiltered comments to you about how you should and shouldn't vote?
I like to think that they are honest. I truly go with the information that comes to me, and in the moment, um, how the facts present, because it's our decisions can make ultimate changes for the ratepayers that we're working for. And so it's very important to get it right, not rush the conversation, not demand that history dictates or precedent was set. I don't believe in precedent. I like to take every conversation and every topic on its merit.
The worst thing I've ever heard that municipal leaders say when they are at councils, why do we do it this way? And administration always comes back, because we've always done it this way. Worst thing you could say to a municipal leader in 2026, am I right?
Absolutely. We don't want to hear that ever. We want the facts, we want pros and cons, lay it all out. That
We
is a good employee in my mind.
Amen to that, Deputy Reeve. I want to just quickly pick up, continue on the conversation about the feedback that you hear. Now, I would say in the last 2, 3 years, probably in the last half a decade, 5 years ago, I have started to see that blurring of that jurisdictional line. Municipalities are being asked to do more with less, so therefore residents are coming to their councillors because they are the closest to them. They're not in Edmonton doing their job, they're not in Ottawa doing their job. You make a decision, you're in Bassano that night, probably after your council meeting, at a grocery store, picking up something at the gas station, and people will see you and say, "Oh, there's the Deputy Reeve, there's Kelly. Let's talk to her about my issue." How often are you finding people coming to you with those provincial or even federal jurisdictional issues that you have to say, unfortunately, the municipality can't dictate that, but we can talk to our local MLA, which happens to be the Premier Danielle Smith in your case, or the local MP, and have them try to come to a solution for you? How often are you finding that?
People are interesting. People love to talk politics. The really good ones that want to talk politics, I find a challenge, because I'm not up on all the federal and provincial politics on a day-to-day basis. I'm doing my job at the ground level, And so those folks, I listen. I hear what they're saying. I I don't agree or disagree in the moment because they're obviously better educated on that topic than I am. So I'm happy to hear those concerns, and like you say, if I'm in the opportunity where I can bring it up with my MP or my MLA, I will do that. But we also have to weigh it out. Is this a one-off concern? Is this a personal experience, or is this a provincial, a larger issue? So there's so many factors to weigh into this conversation, Chris.
Is it easy? Is it easy to weigh in on those decisions? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if a resident comes to you, they're coming to you for a reason because they probably have exhausted all the other options. I'm saying this respectfully because some people have exhausted all options. And I heard this a few years ago, and I am not trying to put words into your mouth, but I just would love to hear your response. Oftentimes, even though at the beginning of our interview, before we hit the record button, I asked you, how would you like to be addressed? Deputy Reeve, Counselor, or just Kelly? That Deputy Reeve title does come with some sway with local MPs and local MLAs because they go, oh, the Deputy Reeve. Where if it's just John from the street, they might take a little bit longer. So sometimes they're coming to you because they have exhausted all options. And how often are you finding yourself going, okay, even though it is that one off, even if it is a larger
Mhm.
issue, my name, my title may have a little bit more sway than the average resident on the street.
Well, I would hope sincerely that all counselors take that measurement and react accordingly. I'm not suggesting that I would shove that conversation totally aside. There might be a referral that needs to be
Yeah.
made. There might be a there's so many what ifs in this conversation, but certainly I would hope that every counselor, especially on the County of Newell, would take that concern and at least raise it somewhere.
I want to turn to the County of Newell as a whole now, but before I
Okay.
do this, I want to just preface this with a line with a statement, and just bear with me because I just want to make sure everyone knows this. This is a conversation between the Deputy Reeve and myself. This is not a motion of council, not a direction of council, not even a policy of council. This is the Deputy Reeve's opinion and her opinion alone. Now, it may line up with what's going on at council, but at the end of the day, she needs a majority of council members to vote in favor or against any motion, policy, or bylaw to enact or repeal it. So, therefore, again, this is her opinion. With that being said, Deputy Reeve, as of recording this at the beginning of 2026, what do you see as the biggest challenge or challenges facing the County of Newell today?
I think it's the same every year, not just 2026. I think it's always going to be the biggest challenge, the provincial and the federal government. The provincial government created us municipalities, and so they are constantly changing the rules or the sandbox, however you want to describe it. So to me, that relationship, that those rules that we need to play within, and those changing rules would have to be our biggest challenge because we don't know what they're going to be year over year.
So, how does a municipality like the County of Newell then plan for the future when you don't know what the unknown unknown is, what the province is going to do year after year? Because I can imagine if we had this conversation 2 years ago, we wouldn't have been talking about Bill 50, we would not have been talking about changes to the Local Elections Act, but here we are in 2026 talking about that. How does the County of Newell, and I'm just pointing it on yourself for a second as
Yeah.
well, Deputy Reeve and Councillor, navigate uncertainty when you don't know what the uncertainty is?
It's not unlike farming. Honestly, the biggest the thing that we need to be paying the most attention to is the budget, financial sustainability. We can do all kinds of planning, all kinds of um, statements and policies and guidelines. But as the provincial government decides to change the rules, the only thing that protects our ratepayers the most is financial sustainability. So having some dollars in the bank to smooth out those peaks and valleys. That to me is the most saving for our ratepayers.
Looking at this year's budget, by this year's budget, I mean the 2025 budget that you just, I'm assuming, just passed in 2025, and you're waiting for the final numbers.
2026.
2026 budget. Yes, I apologize. But the one that was passed for this year, looking at what you just said, do you feel like the County of Newell is in a good shape heading into this year?
We are told that we are in very good shape when we only have a 2.5% budgeted increase for 2026. That is very good. Again, we're using some of our reserves to continue to work. We're going to pave some roads. We're going to continue our services at our service level. We're bracing ourselves for the provincial policing download that's coming our way. So there are many things coming at us, but with a 2.5% increase, we're doing well, in my opinion.
The reason I ask that is because there's a lot of external factors that municipalities have no control over. And I was on the County of Newell website preparing for this interview, and the three pillars of your economy in the County of Newell is agriculture, is oil and gas, and is tourism. Now we're going to talk about tourism in a few seconds, but those first two things have been hurt badly this year. And I say that last year and the year before. Oil and gas, probably for the last 10 years, but agriculture has taken a beating. Tariffs on our products that are going anywhere from China, from the United States. Looking at the external factors that every council has to look at, knowing that they can't control it, was it more challenging this year looking at it and going, okay, people are struggling, our farmers are struggling, our energy workers are struggling. We have to try and keep our house in balance so that way we're not passing the buck on to the people who are struggling the most right now.
Absolutely. That conversation is constant. We are all ratepayers, whether we're at the council table or not. And we are all in similar situations. So we feel for our ratepayers, and we're not looking to build a freeway or put 6 bridges in. We'd love to, but that's just not in the financial cards. But keeping the increase at a 0 to a 2.5, I think is very good news. Now, of course, all of this is contingent on the assessment that comes down from the province, and that's not until the end of March. So
and the education portion of the property taxes and the seniors requisition. Property tax is a very multifaceted prong approach, and 2.5 is great, but let's see what the number is. And then we'll have to try to explain that to the people of the County of Newell.
Yeah. Now, just for clarity, the 2.5 does not include school education tax. So yeah, there's many factors, but the big one is the assessment.
So the big issue that you talked about was that provincial and municipal planning. That municipal planning that is dedicated on what the province does, what the federal government does. Now, I can imagine after 13 years in office, you have had those conversations with those individual people of the County of Newell from District 6 in your community, and they've told you some very individualized issues. How do you weigh the needs of the county issues with the needs of the individual issues? Because as a taxpayer myself, when I pay my taxes and I have an issue, I want to feel like my issue is being taken care of, even though it may be an individual issue. it's still my issue and it's the biggest issue that is facing me. So, as a counselor after 13 years, how have you been able to balance what the needs of the county are against the needs of the individual person?
Okay. So, for me, the first thing that comes to mind is acknowledging the person that brings me the issue, and then providing policy back to the person. I want that person to feel that they're being heard. And then further, I want them to speak to subject matter specialists. We have great staff at the County of Newell. They are highly educated and they're young, enthusiastic. They're willing to work to their capacity. And so I want them to speak to them as well. And then I want them to feel educated on the subject. And most ratepayers, from my experience, are understanding. Once they're educated on all facets of the subject, they tend to soften or come around to the conversation.
How important is it for yourself in that scenario to be honest with people? Because the worst thing that a politician can ever do is lie to a resident and say, we can't do something, or yes, oh, totally, we can fix that issue for you. How important, even if it means upsetting them a little bit, is it to be honest and upfront with someone saying, unfortunately, we just can't do that this year. Unfortunately, we can't help you because that's a provincial issue and it dictates what the province has to do. So let's talk to your MLA to try and get this fixed. But as a county, we can't fix that for you today.
Yes, and that's totally, totally important. That's all the ratepayer wants to know. Who directly do I talk to? Who is in charge here? Where can I get this matter realized or looked at? We have 1, 2, and 3 numbered highways in the province. They run through the County of Newell. I get calls about issues around those highways. So first off, I will let the ratepayer know that we do not control 1, 2, and 3 numbered highways. And then second of all, I will refer them or the matter, depends on the situation, to our specialist at the County of Newell office that has a relationship with maybe Volk or Stefan or whoever contracts those highways. So there are so many avenues depending on the situation, but certainly never closing the door on the ratepayer. And then I always like to follow up. I hope ratepayers feel value in the information or the direction that I gave them. And so I like to follow up and say, was that matter taken care of? Or did you get to where you needed to go with that matter? So there is homework to be done even after the initial contact.
Looking at the flip side of the original question as we got into this segment, we talk about the challenges, which every community has them. The County of Newell is not alone in that. Let's just put that out there right now. Looking at the accomplishments, though, looking at the things that we should be proud of in our community, what's the thing you look at and you say, you know what, we have our challenges, but we have this going for us. This is what makes the County of Newell great. What is that for you?
This question I love. Chris, thank you for asking it, because I think it would have to be our water. The County of Newell ran potable water to the city of Brooks, the town of Bassano, the village of Rosemary and Dutchess, and 5 hamlets. Not only that, it put water to every residential home or business that wanted it. So we have over 500 customers. We've done 2 phases so far. We just completed phase 2 of this extended water out into the county. So I'm not sure if you ever lived rural, Chris, over your years, but the
I lived
water.
I lived in Big Lakes County in northern Alberta. I know the water issues quite well.
Okay, so typically none of us wear white, right? Well, now we can wear white in the County of Newell because we have potable water to our homes. It's a trickle system. Super proud of that project.
So what made you push for that? What was the big push to get potable water? Because that comes with a big expense and that comes with a big bill at the end of it. So what was the reason? Because I can imagine this isn't something that just came up last week, last
Yeah,
month. It's been some time coming.
yeah.
Why was it important for the County of Newell to move forward in that fashion? Because other municipalities might say, you know what, we're okay with not having potable water. We're okay with just being on a sewage system or a septic system. What was the reason behind it?
But I can't speak totally for the origination or the big dream, because that's what it had to be in the moment. But 15 years ago, it began at the County of Newell. And so I got into it 13 years ago, and I am so proud of the system. It's one of those systems that we have created in collaboration with, again, our municipalities within Bassano, Rosemary, Dutchess, City of Brooks, and the County of Newell, all five. They've created a corporation called Newell Regional Water System. And the outcome is phenomenal. It's amazing to have potable water brought into our homes that is safe and reliable. I can't say enough about the water system.
What's in the water down in the Newell area? Because you guys do regional collaboration like no other communities I have seen. Don't get me wrong, I talk to a lot, but I'm not trying to blow smoke at all. But it seems like there's something in the water that makes you guys know that you have to work together for the betterment, not just for the county, not just for the villages, not just for the towns, but for the entire area, because you guys seem to do it so well. So again, what's in the water that you guys are doing?
I love the question because water is where we come from. This area was created by water from the
Yeah.
Red Deer, from the Bow River. We are right smack in the middle of those two major tributaries. And we would be a desert, apparent, according to our history books, we would be a desert without this irrigation that runs throughout our county. So, if we're learning from the irrigation system, which in our area is called the Eastern Irrigation District, sharing and getting services out to ratepayers is profitable for everybody. Everybody benefits in that situation. So, in the County of Newell, we share on our solid waste management. We share on our water system, our housing system. It's called Newell Housing System. We share fire department services. The county helps with all of our partners on fire systems. So, no, I guess sharing is caring, if I could use
It's
that.
certainly is. I just want to briefly touch on one topic before we turn into tourism because I'm cautious of time here, Deputy Reeve.
Okay.
But I want to talk about a new position that you just took up, and we mentioned it at the top of the interview, but I wanted to play in it for a brief second, if you don't mind. You became Division One Director for the Great Rural Municipalities of Alberta at last year's convention in Edmonton. So in November, you were appointed to that position after, I think, a vote, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong here. But what made you want to get involved with RMA in this capacity? Is this the next big challenge for Kelly?
It absolutely is. I would agree with that statement. Exclamation mark. Um, but seriously, we have a council of 9 councillors. That's a large table. And I've watched it over the 13 years. I don't think it needs to be quite that large. And so I was looking for my next challenge and I thought, maybe I could try that as a challenge. And so I did run in the election in November at Rural Municipalities Convention, and I was successful. And boy, the learning curve there, that is huge. We're a nonpartisan organization. We support our rural and our urban municipalities with insurance and procurement um,
So,
items.
so can I ask the follow-up question that I want to ask? What's
Okay.
what's the County of Newell perspective that you're going to bring to that table? Because I know the majority of the members around that table, and they all have their own unique voices that bring to that table, whether it be Gene Harbeck from Beaver County, whether that be I was going to say, I honestly forgot his name, Jason Schneider from
Yeah.
Vulcan County, all the way up to Kara Westerland from Brazeau
Yeah.
County. They all bring their different perspectives. What's the County of Newell perspective that you're hoping to bring to the RMA?
Whatever it needs to be in that moment. I tell you, like you said, we are big on collaboration. I can be a voice for that. If it's insurance matters, are our volunteer organizations being served? They're all hurting, paying their fees for insurance. So can we help? Um,
Well, it will
it's
be
too
it will be interesting to watch this unfold because I'm looking forward to getting to know the new board and getting to know all the members that are around it, including yourself at this spring's upcoming RMA convention in Edmonton. Hopefully, we can sit down and grab a coffee there. But again, cautious of time, so hopefully, I'm not stopping you from saying something you need to say. But I want to jump into my favorite conversation, and that is tourism. As more and more Canadians are finding tourism in their own backyard and finding that hidden gem in their own backyard, more and more people are looking at the summer road trips. They're looking at the weekend getaways in Alberta and Saskatchewan, all across Canada. For anyone who doesn't know what the County of Newell has to offer, what are the hidden gems that people need to come see in the County of Newell? And I should mention, you can mention things in towns and the villages, you can mention anything you want, but this is your time to pitch why people should come to the great community of the County of Newell.
Okay, well, thank you because there are so many items. I'm going to start on the west side, which is where I live. Let's talk about Crawling Valley Reservoir. Great camping, boating, fishing, ice fishing right now. The Bazzano Dam, if you're into history, if that's a sight to see. There's 10 kilometers of gravel, and I apologize for that, but it's just too expensive to pave. um, but it is
Hold
quite
on.
a
Is
sight.
is the dam in the county?
It is. Mhm.
Okay, so then do I send my strut repairs because I went out to the dam one day and I had a few potholes? Do I send them to the county? I'm joking. I'm joking. Please don't do that, everyone. Continue on, Deputy Reeve.
First of all, there wouldn't be potholes, there would be washboard. Okay, but certainly those are our roads, and this man-made facility that's over 120 years old is worth the sights and the sounds. It's beautiful out there. Then we're gonna go closer to Brooks and Lake Newell. There's a provincial campground there, and a 13-kilometer walking path from the campground into the city of Brooks. It's amazing. We just completed that project this summer, 2025 summer. So it's amazing. I've biked it. I haven't walked it, Chris. I've biked it twice. It's beautiful. Let's talk about Dinosaur Provincial Park. That's amazing. If you're into camping with an RV, or they have the glamping going on out there, and that looks amazing. That runs right by the Red Deer River runs right by that campground. It's good to go there. Emerson Bridge, a little known campground that the county owns and operates. We have 12 full service lots out there. It's the only campground in the county that has full service. So there's 12 sites out there. It's beautiful. It's right at the bottom of a steep hill at the Red Deer River on Highway 36.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have
So can I ask
crawl.
a
Mhm.
follow-up question with this? Because I feel
Sure.
like this is the big one that you're gonna have to think about for a second.
Okay.
What's your favorite part of the County of Newell? Where do you go to decompress after a long day of council meetings? And I'm gonna hold you again, I'll hold you to this. You can't say your own property because every
Okay.
counselor I talk to goes, "Oh, I go home and I relax." Can't say your own place. Have to say somewhere in the county. Where is that for you?
For me, it's Crawling Valley,
Why so?
and because it's close. So hubby can still go to work. He can show up for meals or not, whatever he decides, but I can go there and just camp. It's beautiful out there. It's easy. Actually, Crawling Valley connects to our property by the EID canal if we wanted to drive down the canal or ride my bike down the canal. So that's where I like to go. It's beautiful out there, and that campground is now 40 years old. I remember when they first started planting trees out there. It's
Oh, wow.
got some major growth going on out there. It's beautiful.
So
And there's also Rolling Hills Reservoir, which Crawling Valley and Rolling Hills are both owned by the Eastern Irrigation District. And they're a result of our irrigation system. We wouldn't have those waterways if it wasn't for irrigation. So we're truly thankful for those opportunities in the county.
So my final question is, and I think you've encompassed it a lot in this about 43-minute interview already,
Oh
but
my goodness.
I'm gonna get you to give me the pitch. What makes the County of Newell such a great place to live, to work, and to raise a family, Deputy Reeve Kelly?
Quick answer, I don't have anything to compare it with, but it is the place to live, raise a family, and work because of the people, the diversity. We have diverse industries. We have diverse people. We have a can do attitude at the County of Newell. So we're very open and welcoming and inclusive. Anybody comes in, pitches their story, we want to hear it.
So what is the story of Newell then? If you don't mind me asking, what is the story of Newell? Is it opportunity?
I would suggest that absolutely. Newell is all about opportunity. We have some great things coming up in 2026. I'll tell you about turning waste to energy. There's a company in Japan who's interested in building out at our landfill site and turning our waste into energy. That I think is we're going to see ground move on in 2027 on that project. We have a technology coming in, trial system, hooking up some equipment to hydrogen, operating from hydrogen. So that's a trial run. Yeah. We have energy in the County of Newell, whether it's solar, hydrogen, carbon, oil and gas. We have production happening in the County of Newell. I can't end without talking about JBS, the largest feed producer in Canada, cattle processing plant in Canada. JBS is a huge employer, and so they have employment opportunities out there as well.
Well, the opportunities in the County of Newell are plentiful, and I continue to be inspired every time I drive through it because I always learn a little bit more and I always find myself off the beaten path in the County of Newell when I'm down there. So next time I am down there, let's grab a coffee, Kelly, because I feel like we could continue this conversation for another 2.5 hours with all the information that's probably in that mind after 13 years in politics. So from the bottom of my heart, Deputy Reeve, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for serving. Thank you so much for being part of the show. And thank you so much for sharing the County of Newell's story, the challenges and the accomplishments, and looking forward to seeing the opportunities that it rises in the next few years. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much, Chris. And please give me a call for that coffee. I'd love to buy.
Thanks for tuning in to Cross Border Interviews. Now, our goal is to create meaningful conversations that inform, that connects, and strengthens communities from coast to coast to coast here in Canada. Now, if you found value in today's discussion, please take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with your community. And if you are a municipally elected official with a story to tell, insights to share, or ideas worth spotlighting, we invite you to be part of this conversation. Reach out to us today by visiting crossbordernetwork.ca and learn how you can take part in an upcoming episode. So until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and we will be back with a new episode of Cross Border Interviews soon.